Hello, welcome back. This is Mr. Miles Maths. Today we're going to be looking at addition and subtraction of fractions. Please follow along, like the video, subscribe if you like it. So addition and subtraction of fractions should be quite a simple technique that we need to learn. I've got a full technique at the bottom. The main thing when you're adding and subtracting fractions is that you have the same common denominator. The denominator is just the number on the bottom of the fraction. Hopefully we kind of know that by this stage. We need to make sure that they're the same, otherwise we cannot add the fractions together. So if we have a look at question 1, 3 sevenths plus 6 sevenths, because the number on the bottom is the same, the denominator, we can just add these fractions straight away. And in order to add them, all we have to do is add the numerator. So it's literally 3 plus 6, which is 9. The denominator doesn't change, remember that always stays the same. And then we should always write as a mixed number if we can, which means we divide 7 into 9, which goes in once, and there's 2 left over, so it's a remainder of 2. So you end up with 1 and 2 sevenths. Hopefully you're happy converting between your mixed numbers and your improper fractions. Number 2, 2 thirds plus 4 fifths. Again, it's really important we have the same denominator. That's the first thing we should kind of check in these questions. If they have different denominators like this one, we need to make sure that we find the lowest common multiple of those denominators. So the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5. It's the smallest number they both go into. There's a video on multiples that you can check out that I've done if you want to check what multiples are. The smallest multiple that 3 and 5 go into is 15. And I always like to make sure that I just line up the 15s ready to go because I don't have to remember it, I don't have to write it down. So 3 and 5, multiple is 15. And then whatever I've done to the bottom of the fraction, I must do the same to the top. So if I've times the bottom by 5, that means I have to times the top by 5 as well. So on the top of this first one, we'll get 2 times 5, which is 10. We do exactly the same with the second fraction. So 5 into 15 is times by 3. So I have to do the same to the top. We're basically creating equivalent fractions. So if you think about this, I should be able to go back. So 2 thirds and 10 over 15 are exactly the same fraction. We call them equivalent fractions. They're just in slightly different forms to make it easier for us to use, in this case to add and subtract. And the same with the 4 fifths. Oops, deleted my 2 thirds. The same with the 4 fifths. That's the same as 12 over 15. And I could go backwards by simplifying if I wanted to, but that's not going to help in this kind of question. So we have 10 over 15 plus 12 over 15, and if we just add the numerators, add the tops together, 10 plus 12, 22. The bottom stays the same. 22 over 15, and then to convert 15 into 22 goes once, 115 is 15, and there'll be 7 left over. You can see how important it is to make sure your arithmetic skills are in touch. If your multiplication times tables are not very good, or your addition and subtraction is a bit hazy, you're going to find this difficult. If that's good, you should find this pretty easy. Hopefully, I mean, easy for me to say, I guess. So this one's a little bit different. In these ones we have mixed numbers, which is just a whole number with a fraction next to it. So the first thing we do here is convert our mixed number. So say 1 and 5, 6. We're going to convert that into an improper fraction. We do that by multiplying the 1 on the outside by the 6 and adding the 5 on the top. So this becomes 11 over 6. So 1 times 6, add the 5. And the same with 2 1/4, and you should be quite comfortable with these techniques by this stage. So 2 1/4, 2 times 4 is 8, add the 1 is 9, so that's 9 over 4. So whenever we do any kind of fraction questions, mixed numbers if they're there, go straight to improper fractions because it'll just make everything easier for you. It's a good first step to have. From here we need the lowest common multiple of 6 and 4. So the smallest number they both go into, easiest way is to take the bigger one, 6, and see if the smaller one, 4, divides into that. So does 4 go into 6? No. Take the next multiple of 6, which is 12. Does 4 go into 12? Yes. So we know our denominator, common denominator is 12. So we want to write these both over 12. What do we do to the bottom? Times by 2. Do the same as the top. Times by 2. So we get 22. And what do we do to the bottom here? We multiply by 3. So I do exactly the same at the top, times by 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Notice this gets our numerators exactly the same, 12 and 12. So now we can just add the tops. So the denominators are the same, like I said, numerators. at the top, so we'll get 22 plus 27, which is 49 over 12. And then to convert, 12 into 49 goes 4 times 12. It's 48, with 1 left over, so 4 and 1/12. Same kind of idea here. Another example, 3.5. I'll go a little bit quicker now that we've got the hang of this, hopefully. So 3 times 2 is 6, add the 1 is 7. Denominator stays the same. 4 times 7 is 28, add the 3, 31. 7 stays the same, so we convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. Get the denominators the same, so lowest common multiple of 2 and 7. Forget the numerators, it's all about the denominators at this stage. Numerators get their moment, just not yet. So denominators 2 and 7, lowest common multiple, 7. 2 doesn't go into 7. Take the next multiple, 7, 14. 2 does go into 14. So we want to get them both over 14, so get that set up nicely. What do I times 2 by to get 14? Times by 7. Do the same to the top. The old times tables come into play. And the same with the bottom. Times this by 2. Times this by 2. So we're going to get 62 over 14. And then we can add these two things together. So add the numerators. 49 plus 62 is 111. A little bit tricky on your calculations here. I think this goes in 7 times. 7 times 14 is 98 with 13 left over. Okay, a little bit tricky on the old arithmetic there. So any kind of practice with numbers is going to help you with that. Subtraction is exactly the same kind of idea. The difference with subtraction is that at the end you just subtract. Okay, it's not rocket science, so it's exactly the same kind of idea. You need common denominators. If the denominators are the same, I just go ahead and subtract the numerators. So check that they're the same, they are. They're both split into 12, these two. So I can just do 11 minus 5 to give me 6 over 12. And I should always simplify if I can. 6 is common, goes into both. 6 goes into this once, and into 12 twice, so it becomes 1 over 2. 8 over 9 minus 2/3. Common denominator here is 9, the lowest common multiple of 3 and 9. First one I haven't changed, so the top won't change, stays the same. The second one I've times the bottom by 3, so I times the top by 3. And this whole idea of equivalence and keeping the fractions the same is really important throughout maths, and it's an important principle when we look at algebraic fractions in later lessons. Same denominator, 8 minus 6 on the top, denominator doesn't change. When we subtract fractions, same idea. If they're mixed numbers, get everything in proper fractions first, common denominator, and then subtract. So 3 and 2 sevenths, 3 sevenths are 21, add the 2 is 23. So again, we're just rewriting them in a more friendly form for us. 1 and 2/3, 1 times 3 is 3, add the 2 is 5. 5 over 3, different denominators, so we need to get them the same. Forget the numerators. Lowest common multiple of 3 and 7 is just 21. So get it all lined up, set up, ready to go. Whatever I've done to the bottom, I'll do the same to the top. So times by 3, times by 3. 23 times 3 is 69. 3 times 7 gives me 21. So 5 times 7 is 35. And then from here we can subtract. So we can get 34 over 21. And then always convert to a mixed number. 21 goes in once, and there are 13 left over. And the last one, 4 and 6/11 minus 2 and 1/6. So improper fractions, so 4 times 11 is 44, plus the 6 is 50. 2 times 6, which is 12, add the 1 is 13. So convert to improper fractions. We need a common denominator, we can get some big numbers here, but the principle is the most important thing, that's what we've got to remember. If the numbers get harder, we can deal with that. The principle always stays the same, which is maths all over. So common denominator here will be 66. So get them both ready to go. 11 times 6 is 66, so 50 times 6, which isn't too bad. And then 6 times 11 gives us this. So I've got to times the top by 11. So 130 plus another 13, so 143. I have made these numbers ugly. Principle is important, so then just subtract. They're going to be over 66, so this is going to be 157. Testing your arithmetic here. 66 times 2 is 132. So that's 132, just to help us out. And then we've got 157 to get, so we've got 25 left over. So 25 over 66. And remember, you can check these with a calculator. The examiners will expect to see full, beautiful working. That's why I'm bothering to do all this. Everything in here. But you can use your calculator for the trickier calculations, but you must show the steps that are associated with fractions. Thank you very much for watching. This is another Mr. Miles maths video, maths in minutes. This has taken about 10, 11 minutes, I think, this one. Hopefully it's helped with your addition, subtraction of fractions. Some definitions after as well. I will leave them. So please look through them if you're not sure what things mean. It's good to be able to use the terminology associated with this. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Please hit the subscribe button if you like it and watch the videos. Thank you.